And we are back here once again with another episode of the Iron Man podcast, episode 295 with Mr. Joe M. Sonntag himself. This is going to be his second appearance. People really liked the last time he was on. I think the last time you were on was like episode, it was like 150 something, I think, right? 130, 150. It was in that 140-ish range.
Was it that long ago?
That's crazy. I usually try to make them. That's actually purposeful on my part because it creates this like little honeymoon phase for people. So like if they see you again, it's like, oh, I haven't seen that guy in a long time. I like that guy the last time, So I try to make sure like second appearances or third appearances or fourth appearances are like, spread out from each other. Because, people mostly see the same panelists all the time, but it's like if it's one-on-one guest, you don't really get to see a lot of, then, I have them all to myself, actually. So Mr. Joe, obviously, he's a, Reaper Destroyer, made about 60, 80K, more money than I'll ever own in the bank, probably in my life, actually. So
Me too.
Also, if you guys are watching this on his channel, he's going to drop my YouTube link in the live chat. So for anyone that wants to subscribe to myself, then, you can do that on his channel. But remember, I'm not entitled to your subscription. This is just if you want to do it, you don't have to. But
I'll actually pin that to the top of my chat here in a second, if it lets me. What the hell is going on here?
Hi, Heron. How are you doing?
What's going on? Good to see you.
All right.
Yeah, we're doing the dual streaming, so
this is
fun.
And Joe told me that if I don't pledge undying loyalty to his cause, then I'm not on his team anymore. And then he also told me that I should, stop sending him night letters, threatening him.
Yes.
So what the let's make sure to bring it up.
Yeah, let's not do the night letter thing.
Yeah. So like Joe, I gotta be honest with you, man. Yes, I've been hating the way you and Sean been going on your streams having fun, and that night letter I sent you. I told Kayla to give it to you, but women, why we have women do stuff for us when we do it ourselves?
That's
Kayla
right.
did not give you this night letter, right? And this night letter, I told him, guys, when I sent it to him, when his friend gave it to him, the tight blue guy, Sean did his thing. I said, hey man, I don't like the people you're hanging around with, man. They're getting better than me in indie comics, actually. They're making all this money. I was super jealous of Reaper Destroyer for making all this much money. I just wanted to let you know that if you keep hanging around with Sean and Kayla, we're gonna have to have some problems here. You know what Joe told me, guys? Tell me to go fuck myself.
That's right. That's how I roll. That's how I roll.
Oh god, I don't get that with people, dude. Like that happened to me back in the day with another YouTube person that used to hang around. Like he had big disagreements with this one fandom, and I try to have this fandom on just one-on-ones like we're doing, just to hear them out, hear what they're talking about. Because I like talking to people to a certain extent. In my real life, I'm introverted, but on the internet, it can be a little bit more sociable. I just wanted to hear their different side of the opinions. Like, okay, even though I might disagree with this person, how did they come to that conclusion? I would like to know. They would take it as like, oh my God, you're a traitor. Why are you talking to that side? I'm like, bro, I got a podcast. I can't be like picking sides of people. I got to have people on. That's kind of what having a podcast is,
I was going to say that's the whole thing with, I don't get involved in the internet drama. I don't take sides because I just don't give a shit personally, to be blunt, like Time Scales is saying, like, I just don't really care about the drama. Like, there are so many people in this indie sphere, Comicsgate, Iron Age, that we're at. Somebody's bound to have an issue with somebody else, and it's almost like if you do, then you're expected to take sides. Maybe not necessarily by the people that are feuding, but like the audience, the fans. They seem to want to take a side, and then it's just like you're divided, and then you're fighting amongst each other in the comments. And in the chat and all that stuff. And to me, it's just a waste of time. It's unproductive. Right? Over what? Yeah. Over what? Like nobody's done anything bad to me. And anything that has been said behind my back that I found out about, I don't give a fuck. Like I really don't. Like, all right, so what? That person said something bad about me. Oh, okay. I guess I'll go cry in my cereal about it. Like it just I don't care. I want to make comic books. Like I got a greater mission in mind than to dive into to nonsense in my opinion. That's just me. Like anybody that wants to do it, you guys do it. You do your thing. More power to you. I'm just stating what I feel on the subject of stuff. Like that's where I fall.
That's the thing that always throws me off, dude, is how people will be like, well, why aren't other indie comic creators more productive? But then are trying to basically pigeonhole them into like drama and all this other stuff. And it's like, you got to make up your mind, you know? And that's another thing to bring up. The first thing I want to go over is like with drama, it's just, I don't really do it. I just don't. I'm the type of guy where like I usually just keep to myself. You know, people are arguing, unless it's just girls getting like, I don't know, beat up or something. Then I'll step in. Yeah. But if people are just like arguing, doing their own thing, I'm just the guy. I wouldn't say I'm conflict averse because I'll definitely take my sword out and battle people, but I'm not gonna be the guy going out there starting things with people. I kind of let people do their own thing for the most part. You know?
That's it. That's absolutely it. It's, you know, like I don't mind jumping in and defending somebody that needs to be defended. But I don't jump in if like even my good friends, like if I see one of my good friends on Twitter, you know, having an argument on Twitter with somebody else, I don't feel the need to jump in. I might text them and be like, damn, dude, this is crazy.
Dude, don't you find that the most cringe thing is like people who aren't even involved in a situation will be mad on that other person's behalf and they don't even know if the conversation is hostile, if it's friendly. They just insert themselves and it's so cringe.
And the reason why I don't is because I've done that before in the past and then kind of got, you know, embarrassed because I'm jumping in thinking something is what it's not. And then looking like the fool. You know, when you can step back for a second and be like, all right, what is happening right now? Like people trade insults, you know, it's words. You know, I learned when I was a kid, sticks and stones, right? Might break your bones. Words will never hurt you. You know, like it's the truest thing in the world to me. Like, you know, I love getting in fights on Twitter because I love to troll the shit out of people because I don't put as much emotion into a lot of stuff as other people do. And so I love seeing people get so angry and start calling me names and throwing these insults at me. And I'm just like, oh, you got me, man.
There's
like,
a recent one. Oh, the recent one. That got me. There was this recent one Joe had where people were talking about like multiverses or whatever. And then people are trying to say, multiverses are very bad. And and it's like, well, no. The way it's presented usually is very bad and the way it's done is bad, but that doesn't mean that no one can come along and do a very good job. Like that's the thing is people always want writers to go on all these different directions and storytellers to have all these different like aspirations for creating a world. But then if another creator fails at doing something, then that means the people that are not them can't do it because it's automatically deemed bad and then nothing else could ever like change it for being bad. And I'm like, what is going on with people? Like,
this is always weird for me to talk about because that's why guys
San Francisco. I'm from California too. San Francisco is trash.
Timescales. We know what's up. I always have to preface this by saying because I don't take sides, right? Like I really am not involved in the drama.
There are people Jacob or was it Team Jacob or Team what was the other one?
Oh, from fucking Twilight, back in the day, Twilight.
It's really just feel like Twilight. You know what?
I had a girlfriend at the time that was so into that kind of stuff, and I was like, I don't care. But no, like there's people that I respect to fight amongst each other, and at that point, I'm like, I like both of you. You know, whoever you are, I respect both of you. So therefore, I'm not taking a side. I'm in the middle, and I don't care. You guys do whatever you do to each other. As long as no one's coming after me and trying to affect my business, I don't care, you know. And I said before, like, talk all the shit you want about me. To me, I just laugh about it. Like, it's funny. I'm like, okay, like that don't bother me one bit. The funny thing about the multiverse thing is like I pissed off the Eric July fans, I guess, because I was just commenting on, you know, something. I posted something that Eric July said, and I just simply said like, I did. This was a great conversation, but I disagree with this little part.
Before you go, Eric wasn't even bothered by what you said. That's the
crazy
part.
He wasn't. Yeah,
Eric wasn't bothered.
You know?
Eric didn't read because you know Eric would like retweet it and you know be going crazy. But the funny part about that tweet is Eric didn't find a bother with it at all. You know, other people were like, you know what? I'm just gonna tell this guy on someone else's behalf who isn't mad how I really feel. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Doesn't even make any sense.
It's funny too because it's all over opinions on a lot of stuff, you know. And so the reason why I don't get sucked up in a lot of the drama with like CG right now versus Rippaverse and all that, one, I don't want to say it's manufactured or anything, you know. Like there's serious stuff going on between people, but that's between them. You know,
Yeah.
if they want to make it personal, or if they don't want to make it public, that's fine. They can make it public all they want. They can go back forth and do it. I'm just not jumping onto the train in the chats, fighting with people, because I have no horse in the race, so to speak. Like, nothing about their feud affects me in any way. You know, I can sit back and say, hey, I support this person because I love their books, I love their art. I support this person because I love that they're trying to expand their business in the indie sphere, you know, but that's it. You know, like, there's no sides being taken. There's better stuff to do. You know, I got a book that I'm trying to get out. I want to expand my business this year. I want to get, you know, issue 2 out in, you know, the first quarter.
Well, you're not trying to wait like 5 years for the next one to come out, right?
Well, yeah, you know, try not to do that either. Yeah, it's an interesting place that we are right now in the indie sphere. Because you have backers that are pissed off for various reasons with late books, and people can disenfranchise with the crowdfunding scheme. And then you've got the wars being waged between various heads of different, you know, factions of groups or whatever, you know, like, it's too much, man. Like, I look at my Twitter feed or my X feed.
Yeah.
And when I joined Comicsgate and I started following a bunch of people and then just other artists, you know, like, I loved my Twitter feed for the longest time because I just go down. It was just comics, it was art, it was creating, it was awesome. Now I get on and it's just drama post after drama post after drama post. You know,
mine was a little different.
Whatever. I'm just tired of it.
Mine was a little different, and yours is now what mine is similar. When I started following like the creators, mine was because I didn't really know what Comicsgate was until, like, man. We're in 2024 right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of vaguely heard about it on the internet sphere. Shoot, maybe as a throwaway thing back in like 2018, but I think 2021 was when I really started hearing. I was like, "What the hell is a Comicsgate?" It's like I was like, I legit thought it was a guy who owned a house who had a gate. He put comics on the side of it. I was like, my brain is, you know, some days I'm at work, I'm like, "Fuck's a Comicsgate?" So my feed would be, oh my God. And it was this was a drama farm. You know, this person was saying some bullshit. They would be like, all right, I know this is divisive. Cold take, Catwoman by Halle Berry or Justice League. Constant posts like that. That would be the only way someone would get like interaction. Like, people are seriously arguing about some of the worst super movies ever made. The other movies too. It's like, what's the worst movie? Jack and Jill by Adam Sandler or freaking this other horror movie? It's like, why are we debating and farming drama over terrible movies?
Yeah. Well,
you know, it's ridiculous.
There's a YouTube method, you know, growing channels and harvesting outrage and stuff like that. And I get it. When you play on emotion, you know, especially negative emotion, because people want to express negative emotion all the time, you can get a good following and you can make a living out of just feeding that negative emotion, or some place for people to come and to let that out, you know, and then that can be lucrative. That can be good for super chats. It can be good for your growth of your channel. I get it. I got no hate there. You know, everybody do you, you know, it's just, that's not my personality. I can't get down with that. Like, I have my thoughts. I express my thoughts. I don't mind speaking my mind.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything behind the scenes. I wouldn't say to somebody's face. And I try to be transparent that way. But what I want to do in life and in comics and in the YouTube sphere is focus on things that make me happy, that make me excited and make me driven, you know, and inspire me. That's why my channel, is primarily about comic books, the things that keep us going, not so much the stuff that holds us back and festers inside us. I mean, think about it. If you're sitting around all day and it's just this drama is in your head, and you're going on negative, X, man. And you're looking for the latest post so you can jump in on the arguments, that's not fucking healthy. You know, maybe it's fun for a time, but it gets boring too after a while.
Sucked into that, man, some years back, and I looked at myself and I was like, this is just not fun. You know, because at a certain point, people have already, when it comes to drama, and if I hear about it, I'll usually talk about it on my show. But after a little bit of time, it's like, well, we've already said how we feel. If this person feels this way, that's fine. If this person feels that way, that's fine. Next thing. Because I'd rather us go back and forth on arguing about some of the dumbest shit. Maybe like, freaking hell. Like, what's a better freaking movie? Like A New Hope or Lord of the Rings' first movie? That's more productive than, you know, going back and forth like, do you like this other person? Do you like the person more? That sounds kind of gay. Do you like this one dude more than this one dude? I'd rather us argue over dumb nerd stuff. So, you know, that's why
I'm down to argue over that all day.
Yeah.
Let's go. Oh, by the way, everybody, if you're watching this on my channel, we're doing a dual cast or whatever you want to call it. So the show is actually on MSK's channel, which I have pinned up at the top of my comments. If you guys could go to his site and give him a subscription and a like on the channel. That's why I can't bring up any of your guys' comments, but I see them all. I appreciate you all being here. Core 20, hail the Core 20.
Yeah, I'm on my way to trying to reach, you know, 1,000 subs. I'm not really that big on reaching subs. Like, you know, I said I had my first channel axed. So at this point now, if it grows, it's fine. You know, because I understand after this time, it's so hard and different to grow. Dude, I've been doing this since like 2015. The way you grew back then on YouTube is not the way you grow now. It's so different. I was trying to do methods that I did in like 2015. Shit does not work now at all. Like, basically now you have to kind of like, I mean, the Twitch CEO, old guy, said it best. You kind of have to just collab with people. That's literally all it is, you know?
I mean, the reason why I used to be obsessed with channel growings. Hail, Jimmy, good to see you. I used to be obsessed with growing my channel when I first got it because I wanted to be up there with the big boys, numbers and everything.
What's up, Hail?
And then I one of the things I realized that I'm not good at because I just don't care about is covering all of the, you know, the culture war stuff or all the drama. Because like I want to talk about comics. And if you come to my channel, that's what we do. We talk about comics, but it's a very niche thing. You know, like we're going to get the actual people that want to read comics, check out comic art and all that kind of stuff to the channel. So the channel's going to grow slower.
Yeah. So you actually inspired me to do something like that. Because I was thinking to myself, I would see you go live talking about comic books. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I start a comic book club? You know, people have book clubs. Why don't we have one for comic books where we talk about past great Marvel stories we like, past great DC stuff, great indie. Apparently, there's all these great indie books. People don't talk about them. Why don't we talk about them? There's all these great Boom stories, Image stories, Dark Horse stories. So yeah, man, if you have a book that you want us to go over and review, and you can come on and talk about it too, just let me know which one you have, and I can buy it, and you know we can just do it. Because I also like, why do people have book clubs but not comic book clubs? Like we don't have those. You know, we all talk about the same stuff.
We should.
You know?
We should. Yeah. Like, well, my channel, we focus on the art because I'm, you know, notorious for not really reading because, like, that's
my thing. I'm black. I can't read.
It's like, to me, like eating pizza, right? Like I love eating pizza, but I don't waste time eating the crust because I want to go to the next piece of pizza that, you know, the taste. I want the pepperoni and the sauce and the cheese. In comics, like I want to look at the awesome art, you know, and I'll skim some of the dialogue so I get an idea of what's going on. And that's good for me, you know? So like, I don't need to know everything. Like I get into comics for the art. I've never been shy about that. You know, I love stories. Story is great as a writer. I love to write and really get into it. But as a just a collector of art, like that's what I'm there for. I just want to pick up a book and look at the art and be satisfied and then move on.
So, you know, the indie creators, you know, sometimes like with the Dragon Ball Z community, they'll recycle the same narratives year on and year out, 24/7, 365 days a year. People who don't know this, in the Dragon Ball Z community, it's very, very apparent that at some point, people will talk about subbed versus dubbed, should go on to be the main character. All these constant recycled narratives that have been talked about since it started, right? What I noticed in the indie scene, because this happens in a lot of fantasy, I'm not just picking the Dragon Ball Z one. With the indie sphere, I noticed that people will naturally, not just with drama, they'll recycle like things like, what's more important in a book, art or story? You have these people clashing over like, what is it, art, story? So
it's a conversation that will, I mean, it's a conversation will go on forever. And that's what's awesome about comic books, because you can like it for different reasons. To me, I think the best way to describe it is that art brings you in, story keeps you there. And I think that's the best way to give respect to both parts of what a comic book is. You know, comics are a visual medium. You can't be a comic book without having art, but you need to have a story to go along with it, you know? So that's the best way to say it. You know, like some people might be like, I'm story first, I'm art first, but basically I get brought in by the art. And if I am so inspired to actually read the book, the story will keep me around. By the way, I just want to say, Repairman Jack, I agree. with that. Ranch, you can use the crust. You can eat the crust with some ranch. I'm down with that.
Ranch tastes like crap. What is this obsession with ranch? Ranch tastes like crap. Ranch. What? Do you like pineapple on pizza?
Hell no.
Okay, good. Okay,
hell no.
Lost me there because pineapple pizza is trash. No. I've actually had it and it's bad. I think it's generally like crap. Honestly,
I'm very dogmatic with my pizza. I'm very to me it's pepperoni pizza. That's pizza. Yeah. And I can go like other meats. You can put meats on there, and maybe some green peppers and stuff like that. But once you start putting on weird stuff on pizza, I'm out. Or if you have a specialty pizza that's not pizza, like to me, pizza is marinara and cheese. Yeah. Once you start going into some weird realms with it, I was like, that's not pizza. It's just round food of some other kind. But that's not pizza. That's where I stay.
I can do sausage and Canadian bacon. Those are my other two that I like on there. A mixture of them. Yeah, I'll take it.
Like you said, different kinds of meat. I can do meat lovers.
Those are great.
Supreme pizzas are fine too. But once you start putting on the weird stuff, or like barbecue chicken, or
hot sauce on pizza.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, that's death. Oh my God, your butthole is going to be on fire.
Now, because I love hot sauce, I have done that on occasion. I don't mind doing that. Or red pepper flakes to give it a little bit of that spicy kick. I'll definitely do that. But my stomach has been like, trained for 20 years for the hot stuff. So I can handle all that now.
Well, to answer your point you brought up earlier about the art versus the writing thing.
Yeah.
I think for me, it will be 60-40. Art is what initially will grab someone to actually want to buy the book, because there could be a point where, let's use the Andrew Tate comic book then. I don't know if people don't like Andrew Tate, but let's just use that just example.
Okay.
The book Andrew Tate put out, the Top G #1, people didn't even want to check out the story first because the art was so bad. Remember? People literally gave up on the book because the art was so bad. They didn't want to even bother buying the book to read the story. Art is what literally gets you into buying the book, though.
Yep.
If the art looks good, you'll go like, you know what? I'll check it out. Because you wouldn't know what the story was unless you actually bought the book, though. I
don't know too much about Andrew Tate as far as like the comics go. But to me, that's somebody that doesn't understand what comics are. And just maybe they have a like for comics. I don't know. Maybe they want to get into a different realm when it comes to selling stuff or a different market. But yeah, if you're going to make a comic book, understand it is a visual medium. Get something impressive. I mean, if I'm going through a comic book store, and I've said this 1,000 times, if I'm looking through the shelves, I'm just wandering, I'm not picking up anything unless something catches my eye because it looks awesome. If it looks awesome, I don't care what the name is on the book, what the company is, what the character is. I'll pick it up and just be like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna flip through it, and then possibly you've got me to maybe buy the book if I like the interior art. The problem is if you just put out a comic because it's a comic, you put out shitty art, you're gonna have exactly that happen. I mean, half the books that are out there, I judge on the art. If I don't like the art, I don't back them. I haven't backed any of the Eisen books, not because I have a problem with them, just I didn't like the art and it didn't look interesting to me. That's it. As a fan, as a reader of comics, that's the only reason. So if you want to get me as a reader, or people like me, give me something that's going to be pleasurable to my eyes.
Yes.
And I will pick up your book and I will do it solely on the art, and then hopefully I'll get into the story. But yeah, if you don't have good art, man, it's dead in the water.
That's why I always tell people art's the stronger of the two. Art is what literally gets you in.
It's comics.
That's the same thing.
Comics is art.
If someone has an Indiegogo campaign or Kickstarter campaigns I've supported, if the art doesn't look good, then I'm not even bothering, because I don't know what your story is. People will use the lines of like, if the story's good, story will stick. You don't know what the story is because the art has to grab you first. The art is what grabs you into purchasing that book. The art would have to be the stronger of the two. And let's be honest here, dude. There's people that buy the books and don't even read them, so the story is negligent in the grand scheme of things anyway.
Well, I mean, that's me. Like I don't read a lot of the stories unless I'm like really, really into it for some reason. Like there's a few things I do read. Then I get into the story. But for the most part, I just want to look at the art because it's my favorite artist. Yeah. See, Jack knows.
Yeah, who needs to read? Who needs to read anymore?
Yeah.
Oh God.
No, there's been plenty of books that I put back on the shelf because I've opened it up from a badass cover and seen the interior art right away, and it's like I don't even look at a second page. You get one look at that interior, that first page of the interior art, and it's shit. Put it right back on the shelf. Oh
my God, seasoned ground beef on pizza. That'd be amazing.
I get down with that.
I want pizza now. God damn. Why'd you guys do this to me?
It's the same. It's the same thing with crowdfunding and indie books. You know, like there's a lot of campaigns that look like they could be good, but what suffers is the art. And if you're going to jump into the comic book art realm, you need to recognize that is what is going to sell the book. You have to have good art, not just because you can afford the artist or you're friends with the dude or whatever. Look at what you're doing. You know, you need to have good professional looking art. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, like that's the mistake. Like just because you say it has to be good and professional, it doesn't mean that it has to be perfect. There's many amateurs, much like myself, that can produce good looking art. It's not going to be perfect. You know, there's going to be errors. There's going to be, flaws because we weren't in the industry. We learned on our own. We weren't trained, like some of the guys that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, know exactly everything ins and out. But at least you're attempting to make the visual medium something enjoyable as opposed to something that looks just like amateur. You know, there was a thing back in the day. I would never look at a lot of indie books, and I'm not talking about like Billy Tushy kind of indie. I'm talking about indie. You know, when you go to a convention, you go down Artist Alley, and you see like the indie books. You wouldn't look at them because half of them just look like amateur art that didn't know what they were doing. You know, and it's not appealing to the eye. So you just walk on by. You need something that's going to catch that person and bring them in. You know, like and you do that with the art. If you can't do it with the art, you're going to be probably failure.
The other thing to add on to your point, if someone ever tells you about art and story, well, there's a reason why people pay top dollar for good artists, though, on their comic books. You see, the person that makes the most money generally on some of these campaigns is the artist. Like, there's a reason why people go out there and try to get good artists.
Artists should be the highest paying person on a book. I mean,
because theoretically, you could write the story yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an artist like I am and you can write your own book, then great, you save money. You don't have to hire a writer, so that's good. But if you were hiring an artist, when I hire people, I don't say like, hey, I have this gig and this is what I'm paying. I go to an artist that I like and I say like, hey, I have this gig. What is it that you charge? And if they come back and say a price and I can afford it, great. If I can't, then I'm just like, oh man, it sucks. Maybe we'll work again down the line. Yeah. And that's what we'll do. But a lot of times I want to pay an artist what they feel like they are worth, And so if they come back with a low price, great. That's a good deal for me. If they come back with a high price and I can afford it, great. That's a good deal for them because they deserve it. That's just the way I approach business.
I remember you offered me, basically $4,000 to do you a cover on Reaper Destroyer and 40% of the profits of the book, right?
I did. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then after I offered that to Joe, he said, "Go fuck yourself." Goddamn, Joe, why are you trying to overcharge me to draw you some covers, man? I'm just trying to make a living out here. Oh God!
I say you pay an artist. What again? Just the basic thing. I'm an artist. I have a worth on my skill and what I think my time is worth and what I think I can produce. So I've had many people come for commissions, for covers or whatever, and I'll be like, "This is what I charge." And sometimes they're like, "That's high," and I'm like, "It's high because this is the value I put on myself. If you really want it, then you will pay it, sort of thing. If you don't, then you don't, and you know what? That's fine." That's just business. Like I've got a busy schedule, so I'm not taking a ton of commissions. I don't live on commissions, so it's not like I just take a ton to get extra money. It's like, if you really want some work from me, this is what I am charging for my art, for my time, all that kind of stuff. So it's, I look at it the same way. If I go to anybody I want to, like, I'm hiring artists right now for a couple artists, for campaigns coming up, offshoots of what I'm doing on Reaper Destroyer, and whatever they charge is whatever they charge. I'm not going to negotiate with them. I'm not going to try to get it lower. It's like, hey, what do you charge per page? Okay, good. Let's do this. The
price is high because that's what it's worth. Yeah. And that's the thing, though, is I want people to look at it like this. There's a reason why whenever you buy your first car, your parents always tell you, you know what, you could buy this cheap Honda, 1996 Honda, whatever, for like $1,200, $1,200, right? Or you could save up a little bit more money, get yourself a brand new car that'll last you even longer. Because that's kind of the strategy you're doing. Theoretically, people could buy buttfuck who knows artists, make the campaign, do whatever. But if you pay a little bit more better of a price for a good artist, you'll see a lot more of that return there. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying people are trying to take shortcuts, but I don't think people really understand. Like, if you just save a little bit more money, it's going to take the same amount of time anyway. You will get a much better result.
Well, if you budget too, and the thing about crowdfunding that makes this great is you can hire an artist and say, like, I've got up front, I've got $500. So whatever that price of the artist might be, let's just say they're charging. Well, no, but really, yeah, I know you're joking, but honestly, like, if I'm working with a guy or gal that I really like and appreciate, and I know what they're going to bring to my story that I'm trying to get out there visually, and I can project how that's going to reach the crowd I'm trying to get to, I want to make sure it's worth their worth their time to do the book as well, and I want them to come back and work for me in the future. So establishing that really good relationship, knowing that I pay well, as in paying what they want, if I can afford it. That's the thing. If I can't afford it, then I can't. You know, and sometimes they might come back and be like, hey, I will lower it, you know, for whatever reason. And that's on them. But I never ask anybody to lower stuff. I forgot what my other point was going to be.
Tom says, gotta go make dinner. Great guest show. Thank you. Nice to meet you, man. I'm in California too, so I know how you feel being out there in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's pizza time. Listen on audio. Cheers, everyone. No problem, buddy. My wife reads me Japanese manga and explains I'm super lucky. My wife cheated on me with Tyrone. Actually.
Oh, shit.
I don't even have a wife, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even go outside.
It happens.
So, you know what's really interesting is people have been talking about the whole waiting for a product versus getting it out in a timely fashion. What's been your general opinion on that? So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, before I answer that, what I was going to say is the good thing about crowdfunding is you can have like $500 and say, like, I'm going to hire this person. Let's say they're charging $100 a page and be like, I'm going to hire you for 5 pages of this book, draw it. We're going to get it done. And then we're going to crowdfund it, knowing that I need another, 1,000, 2,000, how long your thing is, maybe up to $5,000 just to pay that artist. Then you can go out with your crowdfunder and say, like, I need at least $10,000 for this crowdfunder, because that's going to cover my artist, my colors, everything, And so that allows you then to have that crowdfunding, which is what it's meant for, to raise money now to afford that artist to do the rest of the book and everybody else that you're hiring on the book. So that was kind of my point. What was your other question?
Oh, no. It's the people that have been talking on Twitter about the whole waiting for a book versus getting it out in a timely manner.
Oh, yeah.
That's been a heated one.
I think it's very simple. I think people just need to understand what a crowdfunding project is. Yes, there are deadlines that are put on books when you hit the crowdfunding platforms, whether it's a year or 6 months or whatever anybody wants to put on there. But the crowdfunder is to produce the book. It's to make enough money to make the book. The book hasn't been made yet in most cases. If the book has been made, then it's not a crowdfunder, it's a pre-order. If you're doing a pre-order, you can expect to get the book in a timely fashion, because that's what it's designed to do. The book is done. It's ready to go. It's probably headed to the printer or getting ready to head to the printer.
Yes.
Whatever. That's a pre-order. You should probably get your books within a month, 2 months, whatever it is. A crowdfund, completely different. So if you are a backer of a crowdfund, you just need to go in knowing that there is tons of things that can happen during the creation of that book that can delay the book. And you just have to be okay with that. If you're not, then just don't back the crowdfunders. Or what I've said before is wait until a book is getting ready to come out, where someone says finally, like, hey, the book is done, we're going to be shipping soon. Then go back at them, because then you know that your wait is going to be a lot less. Me personally, when I'm doing crowdfunders, if there's a book I like, there's a creator I like, I'm giving them whatever money I'm giving them to create the book, and I'm happy waiting. I got other stuff. There's tons of books to read. There's tons of things that are coming out. To me, I'm helping that creator create his story, get his dream out there, and get good books out on the market. And to me, this is we're all part of the pre-process, right? It's almost like seeing a movie trailer a year in advance. That's basically what it is to me. Like, granted, you're not paying money for a movie trailer, but you see that movie trailer and it's like coming out next summer, and you're like, like, you get excited for it, but you have to wait. So eventually you just kind of forget about it, and the months go by, and all of a sudden, boom, it's coming out. You're like, oh shit, I forgot. Yeah, it's coming out. That's kind of how I approach it as a backer.
For me, I think it lines up a little bit in a few different ways. So for me, what I've noticed, I'm not saying you yourself, it's just something that I've seen that I've observed, is what like the fans will think versus what the creator's doing. So like the fans will think, because it's taking longer to do, that means it's going to be a quality book. but that doesn't apply either or. Someone could take 3 years to do something and a month to do something, and it could come out good or bad. The timing of it, I think fans don't understand. The timing of it has no bearing on it, really. You know, because with fans, they always say the same thing. It's like, I won't say NPC, that sounds kind of harsh, but it's like they're just downloaded talking points. It's like, if I wait for this book, it's going to be quality, and it's like that has there's no implication of that, and that's a subjective thing anyway. You know,
well, that's why you also have to be smart when you're backing a book. I mean, if you're going in there, look at the sample pages, see what all this kind of stuff. You can gauge what the quality of the book is going to be probably just from 4 or 5 pages of sample art that's on the campaign. Yeah, there are obviously circumstances where you might have a creator that's just procrastinating or just lazy, or there are some
a family tragedy, it does
or there's
kind of thing.
And then there's the natural stuff that happens, family tragedies. Most of us that are doing this work regular jobs, during the week, and a lot of us have families, so the time you get to work on a book is a lot less than somebody that might be doing it full time, or has all the time in the world to work on it whenever they want. So that's going to slow down things. To me, the goal of crowdfunding is always to get a creator from A to B, and eventually they can go on beyond that with the funds, the means, or whatever, to start maybe doing pre-orders. Like, I would love to be in the boat of doing pre-orders at some point and not have to worry about crowdfunding, because I have been able to roll things over, get things going, beforehand, so that maybe stuff goes quicker, and I can just be like, hey, this book is almost done, or hey, I've been working on this book because I had the money to hire these people and I haven't said anything about it. The book is done. We're going to pre-order it. You guys are going to get it in a couple months. That'd be awesome. So that's the ultimate goal, but it all starts somewhere. Especially, I saw what Hail the Lore said, I think it was first time backers or first time campaigns. This is my first campaign, so I'm learning a lot. I've learned a lot over the year, in almost a year and a half that I've been working on the campaign through various things. I've experienced ups and downs. I've experienced setbacks. I've experienced people leaving the book. I've experienced having to fire people from the book, and like, it's just all these things that you have to do as the boss of the project to get something out. It doesn't always go perfect. And I'd say most of the time it doesn't go perfect, so.
Because I think people talk from a realistic point of view versus like, what's the thing that what's the saying now? In theory versus like IRL. In theory, it would be nice to basically not to crowdfund and do all this stuff, but this is a long process. And so that's what I wanted to ask you, which is, after a few, I don't know if you're going to do another crowdfunder, but do you think it's more sufficient if creators with like big names, such as yourself, so to speak, to make your own website, to drive traffic to your own website?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the whole crowdfunding thing is good as like a stepping stone, but in long term, if you have a big enough pull, why would you want to give this place half your funding?
No,
go make your own,
Yeah, for sure. Like, Indiegogo takes a chunk of change,
a pretty chunk,
from your campaign, and then on top of that, you got to pay taxes. So there's a lot of money from the campaign that doesn't go anywhere except to somewhere else. You don't even get it. I do believe that going to your own website, which is what I'm going to be doing for issue 2, is the way to go, because you're going to pay less money out. You're going to get more of the backers' actual money that's going to go into the project or go into funding other stuff. Like I said, I'm using a lot of the money for the next campaign, assuming and hoping that it's going to be good. I mean, it could always fall on its face. We don't know. Issue 1 can come out and people could hate it. You don't know what's going to happen, but assuming that we're going to go forward and assuming that it's going to be somewhat of a success with issue 2, I'm going to be using that money to put into the other books I'm trying to crowdfund this year. And I've said it before, like, I want to crowdfund, do two books or 3 books this year, different titles. And I want people to be able to get 3 books from Superior Press, which is my company, in 2025. And I want to keep on trying to move things around, so we're getting things out at a faster pace, and more books, and expanding the universe. Like, that's ultimately what I'm trying to do.
See, the Hale, that's what I've been trying to talk about on some of my shows, is like, people talk about being indie and independent. Well, in theory, I can't be independent on my own in my real life, and if I would be living with like my brother, that's not really independent. I don't mind crowdfunding. I bought books in crowdfunding. I've got them, but it's just, to me, it kind of feels like if any person brings something up about the process of it, they get just like dogpiled on, and it's like that's just odd because there are going to be people out there that have opinions on how this goes. That's anything.
Oh, for sure.
And I think the conversation usually always steers to like, but if the book and quality and all this stuff, and it's like there's no way to quantify any of that stuff, dude. There's going to be people that are obviously going to like your stuff. Yeah, like I said, they're going to be although they hate it, but there's no way to be like overwhelming hate or love. That's just something you have to take by a case basis. You know, people just think it's just overwhelmingly love because that's just how naive people think. They like everything's good. It's house be on fire. Everything's fine.
I try to be as transparent as possible with the process in the amount of money that some stuff takes. When I first joined Comicscape. And I was working on my book and some of the people I was hiring onto the book, I was estimating like how much it was going to take to produce the book. And the number was a pretty big number. It was a daunting number to think about. And then I would go in and I'd see a lot of people complaining about price points on campaigns. Like, you know, $25 is too much for this many pages. It should be at least this. There are all these stipulations being put on by backers. And so I took it upon myself at that point. I was like, you know what, I'm going to start doing my best to get information out there so the backers understand why it is that we crowdfund. Hey, Rick, what's going on, brother?
So, Rick?
And how much it costs to make a comic book, because it can be damn expensive depending on who you are hiring to get onto the book, you know.
Eric, I agree with you. There you go. I understand you, man.
Yeah. So I don't know if that had been done very much, but I know that once I started voicing my opinions in chats and then on my own shows and going on other people's shows and just kind of really laying out how expensive stuff is, I feel like the information's got out there a little bit better. I'm not saying that fell all on me. There's probably other people that talk about it as well. So I'm not trying to take credit.
Obviously, it's all Sean's fault.
It's all Sean's, yeah.
Yeah.
But the more I can say, like, hey, guys, the only reason this can happen is because you guys are back in the book. And I know that $25 is a lot. I know waiting for a year or so is a lot. But that is the only way that I can raise, you know, the $15,000 to $20,000 it's going to take to make this comic book. You know, when you think about, can comics be made for a lot less? For sure. You know, depending on what you want to do. You do it all yourself, you're saving so much money. If you're that skilled and talented to draw, to ink, to color, to letter, then you're saving a shit ton of money and you can have a lot better profit. But if you were hiring people, if you're hiring 4 or 5 people onto a project, then it's going to cost money, especially if you want to get quality people. It's going to cost money. And that means when you hit a campaign, you're hitting 10 grand, you're hitting 20 grand. It looks great. But guess what? A lot of that money is going to the production of the book, you know, and then on top of that, you have to print the book and all that stuff. So you have to get beyond that number to really get out of the red, you know, and be successful, you know.
Oh, the other thing. So Reaper brought, that's a great thing. So that's the reason why I always say, wait till you're a big enough name, because as everyone knows this, conversion rates are very, very hard to do. Even if you're a big content creator on any platform, Twitch, X, anywhere, Rumble, conversion rates are some of the hardest things to ever do. Like, so you have a fan base, necessarily say on Twitter and Indiegogo. So if you did make your own website, you have to naturally drive traffic to that website. That you actually have. Indiegogo already has given traffic based off of, you know, longevity. People already go there to crowdfund stuff anyway. That's the hardest thing to do, but that comes with over time being a big draw. That comes.
Yeah, you don't want to jump into it right away. If you're a first time creator or you have a small following or whatever, jump into Indiegogo, Kickstarter, Fund My Comic. You know, get to where you can get backers and people will follow you. When you get a good following, then you could go to your own website and be like, all right, so I've got 1,100 backers on my campaign or something like that. Yeah, almost 1,200 backers on my campaign. So I'm like, if 80% of that comes back, I will at least be able to drive them. If they're like, where's Reaper Destroyer 2 launching? If you follow me or whatever, I've got everybody's email when it comes to collecting emails, so you can send all that stuff out. They're going to follow you to wherever that's launching, whether it's Indiegogo, Kickstarter, Fund My Comic, or your own website. And so if you back the book, you're a follower of the book, you're a fan of the project, you're a fan of me or the company, you're going to get that email and it's just going to say Reaper Destroyer 2 launching blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to hit that link and you're going to follow it to where it is. You're going to sign up and you're going to go wherever it's at and you're going to back it there. So I think at that point you can start transitioning to your own website. And again, I'm not abandoning the crowdfunding sites. I'll still have a version of the campaign.
That's why we have Fund My Comic now.
I have a version, you know, but there'll be something that drives interest to that main website exclusives, the exclusive cover of this or whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to draw people to that website. You run it for like 60 days, and then after that, you launch an Indiegogo with a stripped down version, of the book, and maybe you do the same thing with Kickstarter, maybe a Fund My Comic variant. There's so many things you can do, but I think if you do your own website, you are taking it into your own hands. One, you can't be shadow banned. That's a fact. Nobody can come after you and shadow ban you because it's your own website. You can do what you want.
That's
two, you're not paying you're not paying the outrageous percentage it is to be on Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
That's why Luke creating Fund My Comic and you having your own website, people in the future, who can shadow ban you on your own website?
Right.
This is not a thing. That's the other problem, is the only thing that Indiegogo helps with is just the audience that potentially might be there, and people know it's a familiar brand they could attach themselves with for a crowdfunding website that had delivered their product. So that's it. Once you prove you delivered your product on your own and you have an audience from YouTube and all the social medias you created, you getting traction on your website to convert people over is going to be easier. All people want to believe is basically you deliver the first time. That's it. Once you do it the first time, they're set. That's all that really matters at that point,
Yep. Yeah, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
No problem. Nicholas says making comics is expensive. Yeah, it is. And you know what Sean did, guys? Sean drew Joe's face on one of the variant covers for Type 1. How many of you guys can be grabbing that cover? And then draw stuff on the page, actually, with Joe doing things. Question for chat: is a color comic versus black and white a deal breaker for you? I think it'd be only a deal breaker if you weren't exposed to like manga. People that were never exposed to like manga would probably find it pretty jarring to have no color, but it wouldn't personally be a deal breaker for me. It would have to depend how the black and white is structured, because looking at pure black and white stuff, if it's just comic book related, could be pretty jarring, I would say.
It's probably for a normie that's just collecting comics, it probably could be jarring. If somebody like me, I like black and whites because if it's good art, if it's got to be good art, like that's the thing. If it's good art, then I like black and white because I like to see art in its raw form without the colors, So either or, I'm fine with as long as it's good art. But for normies, probably color is the best way to go.
I'm a backer of Reaper Destroyer. Awesome, man. Says sometimes I actually prefer black and white, especially if the coloring isn't very good and it overpowers the line art. It's a good point.
True.
I didn't think about that actually.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I backed Reaper Destroyer twice.
Oh, thank you.
Hopefully you're back the same variants. Imagine we back the same variant. Reaper Destroyer is still the one book I'm the most hyped about, and I've backed a shitload of books over the last 2.5 years. Yeah, I can't wait till it comes out. The last time we talked, you said you were finally going to enter the whole getting to the printer phase. Has that actually happened yet?
Hasn't yet. So the last time we talked, my dad got pretty sick and went into the hospital. It was a touch and go there for a little bit, is if we were going to lose him or not. And I took about the entire month of October off just to be. He was in the hospital for a month. And so I just took time off from the book just to be there. So it set us back quite a bit. What I can say is that the book is completely drawn. So the line art, my part, is completely done. Dave Kemp, who is a colorist, has a couple more pages to go. And then we need to sit down and go over all the colors to make sure everything flows right. If there's any corrections that need to be done to make sure that the book is what it should be. And then we send it off to get it lettered. And then we can go to print after that. So, I mean, we are damn close, but we aren't there just yet. So stick with me, guys. You can follow me on my channel. You can follow me on any social media. You can DM me. You can email me. You can get a hold of me live and ask any questions you want. I'm always down to talk and reassure you guys about the book. But we're really close to getting this book out, and I'm very excited. I think it's looking awesome. Can't wait.
This is the other thing that people don't seem to understand. No one wants the book out more than you do. You're the one putting almost all your money
absolutely. Into it. I wish the book would, I wish I could have got the book out early last year. Would have been great. But things happen, Also, I extended the amount of pages, which is something I would recommend people never do. But here's the thing. So first time creator, again, like I said before, you're getting into the crowdfund space. You're starting to learn about what the backers like and what they want, what they expect. And then you start seeing a bunch of people saying like, oh, the book has to be 48 pages long. It has to be 60 pages long, or I'm not backing it, blah, blah, blah. So naturally you start thinking like, oh shit, like my book originally was only 22 pages and I expanded it to 32. And then I still got people kind of pushing back, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm starting to feel a little bit of the pressure, be like, all right, well, I need to make the book bigger, so I need to expand things, because I need the page count. That's what people care about. And once you do that, you realize like, shit, I'm putting a whole lot of extra work on my plate that's going to take a lot longer than you might think, And once you get into that, you start seeing your time that you have and the amount of stuff that you have to do. And you're like, fuck. You're like, I really, really just, kind of fucked myself as far as my schedule goes, because I wanted to be, popular or whatever, and be like, don't worry, guys, you're going to get this 40-page book, even though I said it was 32, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, it's going to take longer now, and that's kind of what I got myself into, which going forward, I'm not going to do that. There's
John Malin.
Hey. Oh, no. Yeah.
That's the John Malin?
Yes, the John Malin, the coach.
The guy that does everybody. Godlike book?
Yeah.
The guy did a cash grab too, right?
No, he didn't. Cecil did cash grab, I believe.
Okay. John Malin. All you white guys shift. Look the same to me now at this point,
Yeah, John Malin's done Graveyard Shift. He's done Godlike, which I'm very excited about. That's like right up my wheelhouse of what I'm looking for in comics. But no, yeah, we're simulcasting this. So this is actually on MSK's channel. I've got the link up above. If you guys are in my chat, please follow that link, give him a sub. I'd very much appreciate that.
Thank you. John, why don't you have Godlike available? Come on, man. A brother trying to buy your books, God damn. Help a brother out. I know you dated a black girl. Help me out.
Oh,
what the same? I'm just kidding.
Malin's the oddity when it comes to crowdfunding, because he does those time limits. He doesn't go in demand. You have to buy it when it's live. So whether it's 30 days or 60 days, you got to get it within that time frame. Same thing with Second Chances. I think he's the only guy that can do that and actually make a ton of money. The rest of us, people would just be like, whatever. So shout out to him, but you got to get it within those time limits, Could
you imagine someone like John saying like, "Oh, you black guys, yeah, that probably would go very well." Good Lord.
All you black guys look alike. I don't know.
Oh, you black guys look like T'Challa or something. Oh my God. Learning what you have with the first campaign, what do you do different for the next one?
So I got a lot of things I'm doing different for the next one. I've got a business model that I'm going to be unveiling for the next year or this year coming up, but I'm going to wait until I start fulfilling on this project to let everybody know. But I'm trying to find a way to get the price point of books down, so they're more appealing to back. But I'm also trying to switch it up to not have to go for these major 48, 60, 80 page books, so that for one, I think that will help the turnaround time be a lot quicker. So I've got a plan in place. Stick with me. I'm going to unveil it probably in the next few months, and then we'll see what happens. But I think it'll be a lot better all around. So yeah, some people know about it. I think I've got good feedback on it so far. So just stay tuned. But besides what I've learned, I'll have a whole video where I go over what I've learned. But a lot of it goes into timing. It's hard to estimate exactly how long things are going to take, because like I said, there's so many things that pop up that are out of your control. So like, how do you factor that into your time? How much of the book should you get done pre-hand? How much can you afford to get done pre-hand? Backup plans are the biggest thing I could say. Like having a backup plan if you have to fire somebody off the book, or if somebody leaves the book. Having contracts is great, but at the same time, if somebody leaves and breaks their contract, are you really going to take them to court? Small claims, it's going to probably cost more money to try to get that contract fulfilled than it is to just be like, fuck it, I'm going to move on and find somebody better or just as good, and we're going to keep on moving with the project. So yeah, there's tons of stuff I've learned. It's crazy. It's been an interesting trip.
Kayla talked about this on Twitter, where apparently you had her do a story. Actually, is that going to be like a mini story in Reaper Destroyer, or is that an entirely new, different book in general?
Yeah, so because the campaign has made the money that it's made, I was blessed to be able to have extra money to hire people. And I wanted to put out a supplemental book with just expanding my universe, doing some backup stories with certain characters. And Kayla was one of the people that I brought on board to write. I really enjoy her writing. She hasn't written a lot as far as what people have seen. She's primarily an editor. But the stuff that I've seen, I was really, really impressed with. And I was like, come write for me. I'd love to have you on board, expanding my universe.
You hired a woman?
I hired a woman. I know.
God damn.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I'm very progressive.
God.
But no, I'm fortunate to work with Kayla. She's got a great mind for comics. I mean, she grew up with comics from her dad. Her dad was a huge collector. So I mean, she grew up in comics, reading comics. She's a huge fan of like Claremont. So I mean, she's got like that mind, that writer's mind when it comes to comics, you know. And she's a way better as far as like deep thinking when it comes to writing. Because me, you know, like if I was left to my wildest fantasies, I'd just be writing action books all the time. They'd have no story. We'd just be like action, like fight, boom, boom, boom. But having people like Kayla in my corner really helped me bring out my story a lot more and stuff. And yes, diversity. Let's bring the women on board, especially if they've got big boobs.
Yeah, if a woman has big tits, that's always a seller. Just saying
that's
that.
Right. That's right.
Good
I
Lord.
see Kayla in the chat. Hey, little girl. Good to see you.
That's just so weird how we just, that was not planned. That's not planned.
I know. Of course, I am half Puerto Rican and an eighth black. No, what? I'm quarter Puerto Rican and an eighth black. So technically,
Black Panther then.
Technically, the diversity hires are all, you know, I've got a couple different, you know, fulfilled right here, and then bring the woman on board. You know, yeah, we're getting there. We're gonna check the boxes.
Since Kayla, she said she's driving home and she's always like she's been playing hard to get so hard, guys. I've been trying to get her on for a one-on-one forever at this point.
Oh yeah.
She's been basically standing me up. She's been standing me up. You know, she's been like, I don't know if I could talk to a black guy, you know, like, bad for business. And she's not a biggest Inuyasha fan as I am. I'd clap her in Inuyasha.
Oh, see? Kayla, you got to come on with MSK and you got to defend your position there. Let's go.
Like, if my dad sees him with a black guy, I might not be in this house right now. Good Lord. But you know what's crazy, man? How, like, when I first met her, and I was blown away because she said she worked like 3 jobs and she still was trying to do that stuff for you. I was like, and
she's a hard worker, man.
I remember that story she said how she does the three jobs and everything, and then you see like girls on TikTok and Facebook Reels now talking about, I can't do this 9 to 5. What is wrong with you? Just having mental breakdowns over doing a 9 to 5 is like first time.
No. Yeah, Kayla, she's a hard worker. She does a lot, and she's a very driven person, and that's what I love about her. And like I said, she's got a great mind for comics and story, and she's got a love for it.
I've watched Inuyasha since I was a kid, man. Yeah, I have DVDs. I have most of the series. Going to school too.
Yeah, she's going to school.
So when I'm saying one of these like TikTok thoughts, these OnlyFans thoughts, sluts, what do you call them nowadays? Oh my God, I can't do another 5. Shut up, man. No, all of us know what you're gonna say, dude. Given I've lived a long time at this point, I know what someone's gonna say before they become an adult. I started preparing my brain. I know what they were gonna say. They're like, "Oh, how am I gonna have time to do this?" And you just adjust and you work through it. It's an adjustment period. That's how it is.
Management.
Yeah.
You know, work ethic, things that should be, you know, ingrained into you when you're a kid by your parents.
I just don't get, like, what do you think causes that? Because there's no way they don't know this stuff, because they've had programs like public school, which teach you to be a goddamn communist, or university. So they know what a work schedule is. They know what it is. It's like, this has to be just either this person's faking these emotions, or they're just actually this blown stupid. I don't know.
I think people are they're coddled. I mean, I saw somebody talking about how Gen Z, maybe it's Gen Z or the millennials. I don't know, because technically, I guess I'm an old millennial. But but they stay at home a lot later. Like they stay home, they live at home through their 20s, sometimes into their early 30s. And it's like the failure to launch. I think that's what they call it, right? Like they're not getting out there and they're experiencing real world paying the bills, you know, responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. If they're staying at home with their parents, you know, they don't know how to function when they get out there and they get into a job and they're like, what, I have to work 8 hours? a day for how many days? You know, it's like
I know people that have been working since they were like 13.
Dude, I was working. Let me just preface this. I was working since I was like 8 years old, and a lot of I grew up in the country, and my mom to teach
farm
me
life, yeah.
Well, I wasn't on a farm or anything, but my mom wanted to teach us, me and my brothers, one, how to handle money and also how to handle responsibility. So we would go out and we would pick fruit, right? Because all around us were blueberries, strawberries, cherries, all these kind of different fruits. And you just go to the farms and you pick fruit, and you have to get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you'd have a lunch, and then you'd have a checkout time. And then at the end of the week, you would get money, So my mom started getting us to do that at 8 years old. Not every single day, mind you, but just so that we knew what it was about. And then as we grew up, it kept changing. Like, she would take us to different various oddball jobs in the summer to do. Corn detasseling happened when I got a little bit older, but it all prepared me for the time that I actually went into working my first part-time job. I knew what that was about. And then when I graduated from part-time job to full-time job, I was ready to go into the workforce and never look back, but I was prepared. I was, trained. I was raised up that way. It wasn't a shock for me. It was what it was,
Kayla says, I'll never complain about doing too much and working as hard as I do, because I know it's like to have nothing. Yeah.
That too.
Man, I grew up, dude. I told you this before, back when I first met you a long time ago. Your first parents got retconned. It's weird. She had a DC moment. Yeah. We were so poor at a single point. I would come home from school and I look at my refrigerator. We'd have like one can of food. I know what it's like to have literally nothing. I will never be poor again. I told people before, if I ever lost my job and I was poor, I'm not living no more. That's just hell. Having nothing, being broke outside in the rain, snow, whatever. No way I'll ever live like that. I'd rather not live at all at that point.
I think too many people are handed things nowadays. Like, they don't know what it's like to have to really, really, really work for stuff. Or what it's like to struggle. Some people do. And when you do struggle, I think you have a better appreciation for what you need to do so you don't struggle again.
Dude, when I was younger, I used to go work in like my uncle down the street. They'd have this like field, not say field, like a yard or whatever. I used to just clean up their yard for like 20, 30 bucks, 40 bucks. Like, just get some money. Like, I just don't get how these kids now are having literal I'm mental breakdowns over doing a 9 to 5.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what
the heck?
All I know is I'm a little worried for the future of our country with those kids reaching adulthood. That's how they're handling things right now. What are their kids going to be brought up like, if they even have kids? Who knows? But it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary.
Oh man, dude, it's God. Oh, I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
So since as we know, DC Comics is now with under David Zaslav. You know what I was thinking about the other day? Like Eric and Az brought up on their show, but I was kind of thinking, because the merger might happen between Warner Bros. And Paramount. What is to stop David Zaslav from going in there and being like, hey, this makes us no money. I want new people, or it's over. I'm selling this off. What's to stop him at that point? Because we know David Zaslav, he'll can movies if they're even already finished.
Well, yeah, we saw that with the Batgirl, or was it Batgirl or Batwoman?
It was Batgirl and the Scoob movie, remember? And he sold off the Wile E. Coyote movie. He sold off Batman animated series that keeps stuff. This guy wants money. Like, what is to stop him from being like, this makes me no money, I'm done with this now? Nothing. Pure luck is keeping these jobs around. Luck.
Yeah. You know what? I think they're banking a lot of hope on the James Gunn universe. And I really think that they're paving the way for that. And if that doesn't hit, who knows what the fuck's going to happen with that place. So I honestly have not paid much attention to anything lately. I've been so busy doing my own stuff. There's only a few things that I think I'm excited about when it comes to the movies, Deadpool 3 being one of them. And I just saw that the Max got picked up to be made into a movie or something. So I'm pretty excited.
Are you excited for Sonic 3?
I liked Sonic 1. I thought that was pretty good. I tried watching Sonic 2 and I didn't finish watching it because it just didn't get me. Sonic 1 was pretty good. Sonic 2 was so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I heard rumors that there might be Hayden Christensen might be voicing Shadow. I'm like, that's terrible. That'd be awful. He'd be a terrible. What? I'm gonna have Shadow telling something about the high ground. Oh no, please,
That'd
no,
be funny.
no way.
That would be funny. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'd have to finish watching the second one before I watch the third one. But if the third one looks good, then I might go back and finish watching the second one. But
that's my most anticipated movies: Deadpool 3 and Sonic 3.
Yeah, Deadpool 3 looks great. I'm really excited about that. And here's the thing, like I'm not overly cynical about stuff. Like I'll post stuff on X and people will just be like, "Oh, they'll ruin it." And I'm like, "Well, we don't know that. Maybe they will, maybe they will, maybe they won't." But I'm not going to sit here. I don't like having to sit here and right off the bat just be like, "Oh, it's going to be ruined. It's going to be trash." I'm gonna wait for them to prove it that it's going to be that way or it's not. So I'll be excited about Deadpool until I watch it. And if it's bad, I'll say it's bad. But if it's great, I'm going to go in and I'm going to enjoy it, because why not? I'm not going to be negative all the time. It's just not my personality.
Yeah, I always
I'm just not a negative dude,
I can tell sometimes when something's going to be bad, but to give my full opinion on it, I would like to go either it comes out on VOD and I experience the movie or I go to theaters and experience the movie.
Yeah.
I worked as a house painter at 18 in the Southern Cali heat. My boss didn't tolerate. Yeah, like I can understand if a girl's breaking down because maybe a guy, did something to her or anything like that. That's understandable. But mentally breaking down, 9 to 5.
Well, it's dudes too. I've seen dudes breaking down.
Yeah,
working a first job.
They're like, my boss was mean to me. He's racist, and I'm like, okay, all right, FFs, go be broken homeless then. That's what.
Right, exactly.
Like. I could understand why people do like those odd jobs to eventually become like your careers and stuff like that. Like having, if I could pull out my boobs and I could show off my butthole and do OnlyFans content and make millions, I honestly would because that's.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd do it. I'd absolutely do it. If I could make that kind of money and I was a chick that had a body, I'd be like, oh yeah, come check me out on my OnlyFans.
Like if I had no shame, I'd do it. I would because what's the point of work? Literally, like in theory. What's one of working a 9 to 5, listening to some bitch made boss tell you shit?
Working sucks.
Yeah.
You work most of your life. I was just talking to a guy at work about this morning, actually. We were talking about, I think Nikki Haley said she wanted to raise the retirement age to like 70 or 75 or something. I was like, what the fuck is the point then? You work your whole damn life and you get to retire to have 10, 15 years of life left when you're old. Yeah, when you're old and you can't move. And it's like we work our entire lives from the time that you're old enough to work full time, which would be 18, or depending. And it's one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like I want to do this full time. I want to be a full time creator, have my own business, work for myself. That's what I want to do. So
that should be definitely a preference as you clean your butthole before you do OnlyFans content. If you don't do that,
you got to. Maybe bleach it, just make it look good, ladies.
That's the thing is what happened to the point where I think with parenting, from what I've noticed, it ended up becoming like this thing of like, what's the best way of saying it? It's that one line where instead of actually being harsh about something, because I don't know if you had sisters, but if your parents, who has parents out there, if you had like a sister and the sister wanted to go out to like a dance or whatever, the parents would be like, no. Just be like all mad, and then later on she realized, wait, that's probably a good thing for me not to go out and do that. It's kind of like I feel like parents, from what I've noticed, have gotten really lenient on things. Like they'll just be like, oh, it is what it is. Just go and do it. Like that passive, like it's not that big a deal till an actual big deal comes up later. I think people being way too passive on very serious things gets to that point. People have stopped being stern. They're like, oh, it's just this one time. It's just pronouns for my kid. They're wearing blue hair. It's like, it's always just one time,
Here's the thing. And I do agree with Kayla. I'm just joking, but yes, if you want to have some kind of life, probably not. If you want to be a mother someday, probably not shaking your tatas online is the way to go. But the problem is a lot of these young girls, they don't want that, and probably until they do, and they're just like, yeah, money, guys like me, yay. But with the kids thing, I think that at some point, idiots that had the ability to say, I have a title to my name can come out psychology wise and say, these things are affecting kids. When my wife started working in childcare, and she worked in childcare for about 6 years, I had to hear about like all the stuff, and like how you're supposed to analyze kids and all this. And it's all this new age mumbo jumbo how this tone is going to affect the kid, or a kid can't recognize this, or you have to handle them a certain way, and blah blah blah. And it's all this soft-handed approach to stuff. And I'm not about abusing kids, but I was brought up, I was spanked, and you know what, when I was spanked and I realized that there were painful consequences to breaking the rules, and disrespecting my parents or anybody, I opted not to do that again, and I grew up with that mentality. I think a lot of kids these days, they're not growing up with that quote unquote heavy handedness, because everyone's so worried about psychological. I don't want to ruin my kid's psychological, thought process, that when they're older, they're going to look back because I yelled too much or I spanked them, and that's going to affect them in life, or it's going to affect our relationship. I've got a great relationship with my parents, and I was spanked with spoons,
Dude, I was hit with the
leather
fly swatter. You were hit with a fly swatter, not the actual flat part. I thought we ripped the iron part. Okay.
Yeah, my mom, if I was a little shit, which I could be when I was a kid, if I deserved to be spanked, there were sometimes my mom would just look for the nearest thing, whatever that might be, and then she would whoop my ass. And you know what? That's fine, because I deserved it. And I realized that when I would get older, I would understand, how to act, because there were consequences. I remember I only one time I was slapped by my mom, and because I don't know I can't remember what I said. I didn't call her a bitch or anything like that, but I said something that was fairly disrespectful for my mom to slap me, and she just hauled off and just whooped right across my face. And it was the first time I'd ever been hit, like, by an adult, and it was so shocking to me that I never did it again. And that's the point. That's what it should be there for, And I see generations of kids that don't get that. They get, talked to, like, let's talk it out.
They don't even have timeouts anymore. Even that's considered bad. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. So I think that's what it is. I mean, they're growing up with that mentality. When they hit the real world, they don't know how to handle actual confrontation, hardship, any of that stuff, and they just crumble. And you're seeing some of these kids now going to TikTok, because that's where they need to get their validation from nowadays. They have to have all these people, give them, send comments and all this stuff, get that dopamine drip from from TikTok. And that's what we're raising. That's what the next generations are becoming. And that's why I said earlier in the stream, it's kind of scary.
Like that's the other thing too, which is, I mean, getting spanked or getting or take whoopings, as Black people always called them, that brought fear, hey, don't do this. If you got a bad call from a teacher, if you get the call, if the teacher called your parents, for any kid that I grew up with, if the teacher called the parents, oh God, you knew you were coming home and you were getting just fucking destroyed.
Right. Yeah, there was something waiting for you when you got home. Well, the scariest thing to me when I was a kid was wait till your father gets home. Because my dad worked, and my mom stayed home and raised us kids and everything. And it was always just wait till your dad gets home. And, dad would get home from a long day of working construction. And the first thing he'd have to do is get met with my mom, and she'd have to tell him. And he's like, fuck, the first thing I have to do now is take you in the back and give you a spanking because you were disrespectful. But it's you knew, and you had to sit for hours sometimes until your dad got home. And you hear pulling up in the driveway, getting out of the car, and you know what's coming. And you're just oh, the fear, but that's something that trained you, and it taught you to not be in those situations anymore. And it taught you to be more respectful, to listen, to not disobey, and that was the good thing about those kind of punishments that set you straight. And so I'm all about it. I've gotten in many arguments about people who have said various mojo, flippity floppity stuff about psychological shit was spanking. And I'm like, look, I got my ass whooped sometimes when I was a kid.
Yeah, same.
And I grew up, with a loving family still. I have a great relationship with my parents.
You said your mom slapped you? My mom, that was a regular thing for us. If we said something out of turn, one time I said, you're stupid. I feel like I did a spin. No, we actually got, right, I'm talking to full on motherfucking knockouts sometimes, But the thing though is, when I grew up and we had that, I thought to myself, I didn't come out and be some bad person. It's like that. If anyone doesn't know what this is, it's like the Mandela effect, where a lot of people will say something, people don't kind of fact check it or whatever, and they kind of parrot it as truth. So, have you met someone in your life that was spanked that turned out to be flipping insane?
I've never,
I've
no.
never.
In
Or,
fact, everybody I
yeah.
know that is my age or a little bit younger that grew up the same way and got spanked and all that kind of stuff are people that are adjusted. They're adjusted to society.
Yeah.
They are, they might be partiers, they might be crazy,
Hmm.
but there's nothing about their upbringing that was bad. Now, granted, I get it. There are people that get abused, and
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not discounting that. There are people that grow up and they are abused. Maybe they're overly
Hmm.
punished by really strict parents and there's no love in that. And it's funny when you say like love when it comes to punishment, right? But
Hmm.
there is love in punishment because you're trying to teach someone how to understand how to live within a structure. We live within a structure. We have laws, we have all this stuff you have to live
Hmm.
within when you're an adult. When you're a kid, your structure is the household. It's your parents' rules, and you break them, there's consequences. The great thing that my parents did, and what I try to do as a parent myself, is that once you get through that punishment, there was an acknowledgement that it was done. There was usually a hug afterwards or a comforting afterwards to know that this was not something that was done out of anger,
Hmm.
and you move on with the day. So it was
I
something that
wasn't
they
like
didn't
that.
want.
I was like, you do this, I got spanked,
Like,
and you do that again, I'll do it even harder. I didn't
yeah.
get love. What the love? What the hell? I grew up in a hood. What the
Well,
freak?
yeah, So, but there's many different ways to do it. But the point is that
Mhm,
the actual act of
mhm.
knowing that there is painful consequences are going to keep me from doing stuff. And it's the same thing. Like, one, I never wanted to end up in jail.
Oh
I was
yeah.
scared to death of going to jail. Like,
Oh
I didn't
yeah,
want,
yeah. I would have nightmares about being in jail. Holy
yeah,
shit. Yeah.
growing up. And that was one of the reasons why
Yeah.
I stayed out of a lot of trouble. Now, don't get me wrong. I did a lot of stuff, but I did stuff within like a kind of a barrier that wasn't going to be too much to the point where I was going to be like in trouble with the law. Like I
Mhm,
didn't mind, breaking curfew or doing some underage drinking and stuff like that at a party where there's a woods that you can run into if the cops come. Granted, I lived in the country, so
mhm,
there was ways to get out. But yeah, going to jail or something like that, or going to prison scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
mhm.
Still does, to the point where like you know, in my
Oh,
band days when we'd be on the road and we'd be having a bunch of drugs and shit and we get pulled over by a cop, fucking talk about a butthole puckering, man. I'd be so nervous. Like, man, that cop's gonna come in here. He's gonna search all this shit. I'm going to prison, I'm going to jail in freaking Alabama. Like this is gonna be horrible. By the grace of God, they wouldn't search the car for some reason, even though we stunk like weed. And I'm like, how the fuck did we get out of that? But thank God we did.
this is
Jeez.
like back in the day when you'd actually go to jail over weed. You
Yeah, yeah,
know,
well, yeah, yeah,
now it's
yeah. Back
a
back
lot
before it
different
was
now.
legal all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, and for anyone who's watching this on Joe's side, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, he has a link pinned at the top of the comment. We'll be here for another
Yes.
like 20, 25 minutes. I got to get to my main show on Monday. But no, it's awesome, having all the people here talk to us. For anyone that did subscribe, thank you. It's just crazy, man, looking at how like life is turning out. And I was thinking, like, why hasn't Nikki Haley has she dropped out of the presidential candidate race yet?
No, she's not gonna drop out because she's running for the
Lord.
Democrats.
Oh, true. That's her ultimate plan. There you go. That run for
Yeah,
Republican,
because
but still be for Democrat. There you
that's
go.
exactly
Yeah.
yes, it's the establishment, man. Like they know that Biden ain't doing shit, and so their backup plan is be like put Nikki Haley in because she's
Mhm,
basically a Democrat. She's a warmonger. She's part of the
mhm.
establishment. I mean, it's basically if she got into office, it would basically be like having a Democrat in
Right.
office under the disguise of a Republican. So I guarantee you she ain't dropping out until she absolutely has to, in my
Like,
opinion.
like for me, dude, I genuinely don't think that Vivek or DeSantis would have been terrible presidents.
Oh, I love Vivek.
This was just the wrong time for them to actually run for being a
Oh,
president.
absolutely.
If they had ran like after Trump was over, I have no doubt they'd win. In my mind, I have no doubt. But they just picked
Oh,
the wrong
absolutely.
time to.
2028, I think, is Vivek's year. I mean, 2028,
Yeah.
I think Vivek's going to make a real good push, and I think he would be a great president. I think he's
I
awesome.
was if that's what she was bullied
Yeah,
over,
she's bullied for being brown. I know.
would not live a day in my life, people. There's man, if that's
I'm
freak, man.
I'm all about Trump for the pure fact that I remember when he was president, gas was
Mhm,
down, food was down,
mhm.
the economy was great, and that's all I give a shit about. Like
Right,
all
yeah.
the other nonsense, the political nonsense and
Yeah.
narrative stuff, like I ignore all of it. It's like what works in my life? What did I see with my own eyes? I want that back because I know as soon as the other guy got in, shit went down the toilet in a very fast fashion.
Very,
now,
yeah.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I forgot. I was rambling. I forgot what my actual point was.
During that time period back in 2020, where the reason why people didn't vote for Trump was literally, I remember this very, very clearly, is because he wasn't. People voted for Biden only because he wasn't Trump, not because of what Trump did for the country.
Oh yeah,
anything. It's just because he wasn't the other guy. It's like, okay, people, I don't care if you don't like Trump. That's your own personal opinion. You can't just treat this like a freaking popularity contest.
Well, that's what all people do with politics, because no one really pays attention. They're too obsessed with their own lives and everything like that. So you just go, you vote for a letter, Democrat, Republican. You just go and you vote. That's what most people do. They don't pay attention to stuff, or if they do, you're watching mainstream bullshit news, which is giving you just
like
a
MSNBC,
one side of a narrative. To me, I'm registered Republican, but I've long been quote unquote an independent, because I think the Republicans are weak as shit. They don't do a damn thing. The Democrats, I got no use for them whatsoever. The only reason I vote for Trump is because I've seen results, and I didn't vote for him the first time. I thought it was a joke. I didn't vote at all, because it was like, Hillary or Trump? You fucking kidding me? Like, no way. But then the dude gets in office and he actually has results, and that won me over to the point where it's like, I'm voting for this dude next time around. And I did, and what happened. It was a travesty. But this time around, like, I want that back. If there was a Republican or a Democrat that was in office that was best for our country, as far as strong borders, the economy was good, gas was down, inflation was down, our military was strong, all those good pluses, I would vote for a Democrat. I wouldn't give a shit. So it's not party lines for me. I just want somebody that's going to do the best for the country and set up for my daughter going forward. Like, fuck, my daughter's 4 years old. Like, what's the world going to be like when she's my age?
I mean, this is the person that black people voted for. Joe Biden literally said, word for it, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Did he not already give the game away? He literally already gave the game away. He said he wouldn't want his kids going to a radical racial jungle or whatever. Now, I agree with him. If you have your kids going to a public school around black kids, they might get corrupted. That was not, too far. But he literally already gave you the game. He basically said, if you don't vote for me, I will not even consider you the race you're born.
Well, yeah, because Democrats, they think they own the black.
They own the black.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, when you come out and you say stuff like that, it's because you think you own the black vote or any minority vote, and you're pretty much trying to tell people, hey, keep in line. That's what that kind of statement is. Keep in line. Don't think for yourself. Don't step outside the box. Keep in line. Vote for us. And it's like, what have they done for you? What did Obama do for black people when he was in office?
It's because people are narcissists and they couldn't stand having a president they didn't personally like. Right. Yeah, that's all it was. Even though he was literally better off being a president over Biden, they'd rather not have him there because they just didn't like him as a person. Like,
people's feelings get hurt. Oh, it was a mean tweet.
He said mean tweets on the Bird app.
It's like, oh yeah, such a horrible person.
I still find that odd that people got offended over tweets on the social media app Twitter.
People are crazy. They're so soft. People are so soft nowadays, and I don't think it's the majority of the country. I really do think that most people are somewhere in the middle, leaning one way or the other.
Are like more centrist than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few they're far in each direction. They're idiots, but the most of us all sit within a range and want similar things. When I was growing up, it was like everybody wanted a certain thing in the country. It's just you disagreed on how to get there, but everybody was trying to get to the same thing. Like I don't ever remember the tension between Republicans and Democrats growing up, because I knew a lot of families that were Democrat families. We were a Republican family. It was never this big thing. It was never like, oh, you're a bunch of racists, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It just that shit.
You know what I also find weird, dude? In comic books now, people legit think there's white supremacists. All right, so people, please understand this. The KKK and white supremacists, do you really all believe they go to their local comic book shops every Wednesday wearing Klan outfits and buy comic books? I just imagine the KKK is not sitting there in their little round table going, man, how are we going to corrupt the comic book community? You know what? Let's buy Black Panther omnibuses on Wednesday. It's like, what? Why would the Klan But first of all, interested in comic books, and for what are they gonna buy the black comic books? Or are they gonna buy Static Shock or something? Like what?
Dude,
oh my god!
Social media was probably one of the worst things that ever happened to this country, probably to the entire world.
Yeah.
Because of just all the BS that can be put out there, and it's a trope because it's true. You put something online, and people just believe it. Any headline they see. Look at X. There are so many videos that come on X where you have no description of the actual video except the person that posts it. And it's like, boy gets slapped in the head for calling a black man the N-word. And as you go to watch the video, and it's just somebody being beat up, you don't know what the context is. But then you jump into the chat, and it's just like, oh, they deserve it. You're like, oh, they shouldn't be talking like this. Oh, white people suck. And I'm just like, nobody knows what the content of this video is.
And then
you guys have just all been duped.
After that, it usually comes out that it's the black people that were the aggressors in it, and they were the ones actually trying to kill that person. But that's like after the context is applied, right? Before it's usually like, oh, the white person's racist. They probably was like, what the heck?
And it's all a narrative to divide us. You know, I mean, it's pretty simple. You divide people in this country by race, religion, sexuality, and that's exactly what they've done over the last 25 years. They've really started to push everything, and we look at the country today, we are extremely divided. You know, maybe not your natural world. Like I look out in my natural world, I don't see that. I see people getting along. You know, we don't have issues around where I'm at, and I'm not in a predominantly white area. I'm just like, you see it, you know, like everyone's getting along. But you look on social media, and that's all it is you see black people bitching about white people. You see white people bitching about black people. You know, gay, straight, homophobic, religious, atheists. Everybody's going at each other, and it's like there's no. Everyone's drawn a line in the sand. There's no gray area. There's no conversation to be had anymore. There's no open dialogue. It's just this or this, you know. And it's our fault. We fell for it as a people. As the American people, we absolutely fell for it, and this is where we're at now. A very divided country. People believe what they believe, and they're a lot of times believe a bunch of bullshit.
Like that's what I also wanted to bring up. That's your point, which is like people just kind of want to rush to someone something rather than like actually hearing them out. You know what really causes it? This is what I see a lot of people don't bring up. Anyone that's understanding this, when you're having a conversation with someone, in order to really fully get where they're coming from, you'd have to like. Not saying people are doing this here, but this is what people need to do. Listen to them. What people are doing, and we've seen this happen before, people are having conversations, but they're trying to figure out what they're going to say next to respond rather than actually listening. That's what's really going on. You can't really have dialogue if you're not actually properly listening to the person, even if you disagree with them. But understanding where they're coming from, even if you disagree and you listen, will have you a better conversation. Most people are trying to figure out, God, what am I going to say next to counter that point? Did you even listen to the point? You know,
well, they're trying to win the quote unquote argument instead of having an actual conversation, because everything has to be an argument. If you disagree with something, all of a sudden, boom, you dug your trench, you're in deep, you know, and you got to defend your position. When a lot of times it could just be like, you disagree with me, I disagree with you. Why do you believe that? I'll tell you why I believe this, and then we can still walk away not agreeing with each other, but we can at least have a productive conversation. I can at least have a better idea where you're coming from. I've done that so many. Like I'm a religious guy. I've had tons of conversations with atheists, and I've heard your complaints, and I'll give my answers of why I believe this, and nobody's changing each other's minds. But it was a good conversation, you know. And I felt like I knew something a little bit more about that person when I was done, regardless if we agreed on the subject. And it was a civil conversation, you know. And then I've had other like complete opposites before, where I've had people just attack me right off the bat as soon as they found out something, and it was like, this is not a conversation, which is when I start to just troll people. Because I'm like, if we're not having a conversation, you obviously are emotionally invested in this, and I am not. So I'm just gonna fuck with you for the next fucking few hours as you're going back and forth.
And the last few things I'll ask you, because we gotta head out of here soon, which is okay, listen. Okay, I have 35 minutes till I'm home. I need to vibe out to some music.
Yeah.
You listening to Drake again, Kayla? Listen to us.
She's probably sitting. She'll probably sit down, eat some maybe some strawberries with some whipped cream and listen to Game of Thrones intro over and over again while playing with her cats. That's what I think.
I think she's gonna listen to a black guy's music and then say, "I'm one of them." You guys think Kayla says the N-word with the rap lyrics in her car? I wouldn't care, honestly. I don't give a fuck personally. But I don't know. She's from Boston.
To me, if it's a lyric of a song, it's fair game.
Yeah.
Fair game.
Oh God. Caleb's like, if Caleb starts wearing a do-rag on stream, saying she's from the hood, oh no, I might be like, Caleb, an intervention might need to have it for you,
What is that, cultural appropriation? Is that what they call it these days?
Oh gosh. But I remember you did a recent stream that I need to catch the replay of because I've been so busy.
Yeah.
You did top 4 comics of 2023. Did you by any chance have that Batman one where it had the great artwork? I bought that. If you had that in there, I know I bought that book. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Is that
Which
book
one?
actually good?
The Mark Silvestri
where you have like the Joker. It's the Batman. He has to pose like this, and the Joker's face is behind him. And like
I think so. Yeah, that was the Mark Silvestri one. Yeah. That was the
great
top
artwork.
One.
That's why I bought the book.
In 2023 for me.
Art was just,
awesome book.
I almost blew a load looking at how good.
Oh yeah, I did twice.
Good Lord, I did it 3 times. I did it on the pages actually. So if I sold it,
it's so sticky. Yeah, exactly. I sold it. Somebody else has at eBay. So sucks for you guys, but
I know you had Gunslinger Spawn on there. You had Deadpool.
Yeah. And granted, I mean, these were all like my opinions, right? Not necessarily like the actual top books, but just books to me that were exciting. Gunslinger by Brett Booth, knocked out of the park for the entire year. Fucking awesome book, art wise. Deadpool, Battered Blood, anything Rob Liefeld does, I dig. So I'm going to be down for that. And then Ronin book 2. Philip Tan, merging the manga and Western styles together in just the most perfect way. Black and white book is just fantastic. We were thinking about doing a number 5, but I couldn't really think of a number 5, so we just kept it to 4.
Did you? Okay, so I have to read this stuff, but I bought it. Did you ever check through Predator versus Wolverine? I heard people say that was good.
I bought the first issue of that to check it out, and I thought it was decent. The thing I didn't like is I bought it because Ken Ashley was doing the art, but he only does like half the book. And I was kind of disappointed about that. Like I wanted him to do the entire book because I felt I was kind of cheated. And so I haven't really bought any of the other issues, but from what I saw, it was pretty decent. I know right now I'm digging the Daredevil Black Armor run that's got 2 issues out. I think the third one's coming out next month. I like that. It's kind of a period piece. It takes you back to the 90s a little bit, I think. I could be mistaken on that. So people can feel free to correct me in the comments. But it takes you back, and it's got a little bit more of a 90s feel. And I like the artist. I can never pronounce his name. But I'm digging that so far. So I'm pleasantly surprised with that Daredevil run. And I'm hoping it continues to be good. I haven't seen a lot of like BS, normal kind of politics, woke shit in it. So I appreciate that.
That's the thing is, I want to get into doing all that stuff. We get the books and review them. Floppies come out. The newest floppy that I bought, the one I had on my pull list, was Ultimate Spider-Man #1. And it came in today. So I'll be able to read it and review it actually,
Nice.
But that's the thing is, I want to get into the point. It's the drama that surrounds everything, man. I want to get to a point where people are like reading the books and talking about what's in the books, because I feel like it's the drama it's like literally drama. And then like the books are like, little part of it.
Think about it, because drama sells, drama gets super chats, drama gets views, it makes people money. So a lot of the big YouTube names that make a lot of the living out of the outrage, and I get it. I'm all for the culture war and everything. Don't get me wrong, but if you go down the line, I'm not going to say anybody's channel because again, I'm not hating on these people. You do you make money. I'm all for that. Capitalism, but there was some channels a long time ago I just stopped watching because like everything that came out was dogged. Like everything was woke, everything was trash, blah blah blah. And I'd actually go and watch some of this stuff, and I'd be like, you know what? I'm not actually seeing what you're saying. To the point where I'm just like, you're getting to a point now where that's the narrative. Disney comes out with something new, it's trash. Marvel comes out with something new, it's trash. Right off
Family Guy clip of like the clan chasing down Peter and you're seeing ghosts. Like at that point, you're literally seeing ghosts.
Yeah, and
like, this was something that wasn't woke at all. It was just
at that point, I was just like, you guys, these channels that I'm watching at that time, and these people, and they're huge channels. I was like, at this point, I feel like you're being disingenuous. You're not really being honest because you're trying to keep that narrative flowing. You need to have that win. You have to have that win over Marvel. You have to have that win over DC. You have to have that win over Disney. So you can't ever really acknowledge it. You know what? This one was okay. this movie was pretty good, well done.
Right.
You know, it's just like, no, it was trash because of this, blah blah blah. You know, Marvel does it again. You know, they're in, you know, and I have no love for Marvel, DC, or any of that. You know, but I'm honest as I can be. You know, if I watch something and I think it's trash and it's woke nonsense, I'll say it. If I watch something and I think it's actually well done, then I want to give praise and be like, you know what, this was well done. Make more of this shit. You know, the same thing in comics. You know, I don't follow DC, I don't follow Marvel, but if my favorite creators jump on and do a book like Mark Sylvester did with Batman, I'm gonna get on there and be like, it was awesome. Go out and buy it because I want these people to realize that you need to make more of this instead of the rest of the shit.
Like, that's the thing that I told people is, what about all those? I mean, because apparently people have read all these books. Why does no one talk about these other great books, though? Everyone always kind of focuses on the negative aspect of them. But I find so odd, you know? There's apparently all these great books that are even indies. Apparently, these indie books are so good, no one talks about them.
Yeah, there's not a lot of indie reviews.
So this is what we know. One of two things are true. Either someone bought it and actually just didn't read it, or they didn't have faith that the creator that they like didn't put out a good enough story, so that's why they wouldn't have bothered to read it. Because like, I mean, there's no way. Because there's a third thing where the person will always talk about, man, the cover art looks good, man, the art looks great. I'm like, that's awesome. What's the story about? Mute. Right. They never even reply back. So like, that's my problem. Is like, if this creator is so good and their story is so good, you should be able to tell me something about it. Then no one does, because I'll be honest with you, people don't read them. They don't read the books. There's no way.
And you're going to get very few opinions that aren't biased.
True.
You know, so you're going to get there's a lot of people out there review stuff that already have a biased opinion about stuff. So to find somebody that actually reviews books, whether they're indie or mainstream, without a bias, I think is very rare. And if you could find somebody like that, great, because then you could get an actual account of what the book is from somebody that's not trying to push a narrative. And I think that's, we all fall in a category of pushing narratives, whether it's quote unquote on the right side or the wrong side. There's narratives being pushed because you're trying to get your point across. You're trying to win the war, whatever. If there was somebody who was just down the middle, just talking truthfully and honestly, is it good? Is it bad? Yes, no. You know, I think it would be good. I think we need more of that.
Yeah. Last few things I'll ask you is, the first thing is, any big plans for 2024 for the YouTube channel, Reaper Destroyer, business plans?
YouTube, we're just going to continue to grow as much as we can. Try to have interesting guests on Art and Stuff on Thursdays and review awesome comics. You know, as far as we look at art on Tuesdays on Akba, appreciating comic book art live. Reaper Destroyer, I'm trying to fulfill that as soon as possible here. I'd like to launch the next issue sometime in May. And like I said before, I'm trying to actually have multiple campaigns this year, expanding the universe with different titles. So I'm working on another book as we speak to try to launch later on in the year as well. And if I can fit in a third one, I'm going to. And I'm going to try to find a way to make it worthwhile and maybe a lesser price point for backers. So I'll reveal more of that as we go forward. Just, you know, follow me on YouTube under this channel. If you guys are watching on my channel, you know it. But Joe M. Sonntag, you can follow me there on YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I'm primarily on there under Joe M. Sonntag, but you can find me on all social media. Just DM me and stuff, but follow me. I'm going to try to put it out there and make it very clear what I'm going to try to do business plan wise going forward in 2024. And I'm hoping that people are going to dig it.
Yeah. Last thing I'll ask is, any shout outs you want to give to anyone in particular? Anything else you want to say before we head out?
Shout out to my boy Sean Arendt, co-host on Art and Stuff on Thursdays. He's got a book called Type 1. Everybody go check that out. Yep, Eric Huffles just dropped the link down there. Check it out. It's an awesome book, and also you can donate a book to a kid with diabetes on that as well if you so want to. Shout out to Kayla, my co-host on Akba, appreciating comic book art live, and she's also a writer and a part of my company Superior Press. Hope she's doing good. And then shout out to the chat. You know, you guys are awesome, coming out all the time. You make these shows fun. And worthwhile to actually stream every week. So I love you guys.
What's crazy is the first time Joe had his first appearance on, we actually just did it on Rumble and Twitch. If you guys want to go check out the first appearance, that's actually on my Rumble channel. So I don't have this specific podcast on YouTube because, you know, we get a little spicy on these things, even with one-on-ones. But I do want to say thank you to every single person that did subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. That means a lot. You know, I'm doing big things over there. Book reviews are coming up. I have to clip out my I Saw #1 review that we did. And you guys are going to be, because you're going to ask, what's your favorite part? It's going to be up there. And I told people, hey, the same thing that Hale said, which is very, very important to leave off of, is like, this is just my opinion too. I don't care who wrote it. I don't care. If I think it's good, I'll tell you why I personally think it's good. If I think it's bad, I'll tell you why I personally think it's bad. Or if I'm in the middle on it, there should be like really no barriers because you like the creator or whatever. That's not. I don't want to play that game, because that's not fair. It's like in life I've lived by this. Just be honest, and people will respond to that way better than if you just straight up lie to them. No, your book's really good. No, your book's really good. So I mean, by that logic, you can't really improve then because everyone's circle jerking each other.
That's true.
If everyone's stuff is really good, then you can't improve on anything. Then why have discussions then at that point if we're all really good?
No book is going to be perfect. Not even by professionals. I mean, that's reality, especially with us amateurs getting into the race. I mean, we got a lot to learn. A lot of times we're first time writers, first time artists. So there's going to be issues as much as we can make the book as good as we can. And the only thing I can say is going forward, you have to hear some of that feedback so you can fix the stuff you can fix going forward and make the book better. And hopefully book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, keep on getting better and better and better as you go. Like that's part of the crowdfunding experience. That's also part of the indie scene that we're at. We're all learning at a similar pace. So
can't wait to have Joe on later on this year for a 3rd appearance.
Absolutely. We got to get you on Art and Stuff sometime, man. I think it'd be fun to kick it with me and Sean. I think it'd be a good time.
We're hanging out with white people and a Puerto Rican?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, Lord. Wait, you trying to be inclusive and diverse? What?
I got my do-rag, man. I can put that on.
Have you bought chicken recently?
Well, not a big fan of chicken, but I could.
That's crazy. You said, if you go on Twitter and you say hot take, chicken is overrated, that might be a literal viral too right there. Just saying. You're like, you hate my black people's food. We'll see you guys later. Have a great night, everybody.